Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Cisler, and along with my brother Eric and my stepmother Nancy, I am honored to accept Steve Cisler's induction into the Internet Hall of Fame. I'm happy to do this in my father's place, since he would probably be too modest to accept this. Still, I wish he were alive to experience this appreciation. As children, the joke we had in our family was that we never totally understood what our dad did for a job. The title on his business card at Apple in the 80s was Library Evangelist, which at the time was confusing and vague for a kid, but that's only because I didn't realize in the 80s that a sea change was coming for what libraries could be. But he definitely knew. His career working in libraries and ultimately discovering the world of personal computers in the 1980s led to this day. I can distinctly remember as a kid going to the Berkeley Mac Users Group meetings, lugging his Apple Macintosh SE in the custom duffel bag that Apple sold at the time, and sitting around with a bunch of other enthusiasts, watching them fiddle with the insides of their open computers, and I had no idea what they were talking about. It's probably not a coincidence that I'm a software engineer now. My dad had a colorful history in life. In addition to him being the pioneer in community networking that you are all honoring him for, he was also a teacher, a winemaker, bread baker, chef, gardener, and walking encyclopedia. He was always interested in meeting new people and would chat with random strangers to ask where they were from and inevitably have some connection to that location. He biked and hitchhiked around Bali, kayaked in Amsterdam and Berlin, attended back-to-back conferences in Australia and Turkey, and always came home with new experiences. Of course, he shared that knowledge with us, his family, and others. Now, my dad was not an engineer, but nevertheless already had so much real-world experience with computers and the internet back while everyone was still referring to it as cyberspace. I read of him being referred to as the first cyber librarian, which sounds like the correct title given that this was about the time that Well and Wired magazine were breaking virtual ground. My dad's history of being a librarian really did give him a different perspective on how the internet could change lives. A librarian interacts with people of every background and level, and I believe that's what he was working for. The idea that the internet should be available to everyone. Even as I say this, it's hard to appreciate. Today, over 95% of Americans own a mobile phone of some kind. But in the 90s, it was a struggle to get any internet access, much less even have a personal computer to do so. By working with small and resource-poor communities in both the United States and abroad, I felt like he was mirroring Andrew Carnegie's building of libraries a century before, but instead by adding computers and internet access. I don't believe the internet would be as open and inclusive as it is without my father's contributions. And my family and I are so grateful that so many of you feel the same. Thank you.